The Legions of Athena, Chapter 34. Deimos was finding it hard to breathe. There was an unnatural coldness in the air. The air felt thicker as well, and his magic seemed harder to cast. No doubt it was all the doing of the skull-face god. The fight had changed when his scythe transformed, and Deimos had felt it. The dark, unnatural energy from it had made him cautious. But his partner Phobos had been thick as ever and charged head-on. A mistake he paid for in the form of many wounds. He stood beside Deimos, barely standing, too bruised to even speak. The scythe had so easily pierced his bronze skin defense. But what worried Deimos the most was the fact that their opponent was still toying with them. But he was still clever enough to walk away from a losing battle. I don't know who you are, but it would seem you are a worthy warrior. I know you are not one of Athena's lackeys, so we will give you a chance to walk away, Deimos shouted. How merciful of you, Thanatos said as he raised his scythe once more. The unnatural weapon seemed to be made from flesh and blood, with its handle pulsating as though it had a heartbeat along with its closed eye. You do not understand the danger you bring upon yourself if you kill us, Deimos said in desperation. We serve Lord Ares, and he will hunt you down in vengeance. How pathetic. Is this what the gods of fear and terror have been reduced to? Pleading in the war god's name, Thanatos said as he slowly moved towards them. But I do not blame you. After all, what is more terrifying than the end? What is more fearful than death? Power, a man shouted from the nearest rooftop. Then with one great leap he landed in between the three gods, smashing the ground below. He then rested his giant club on his shoulder and said, My power. Relief washed over Phobos and Deimos as they realized who had come to their rescue. Ha ha ha! Deimos laughed, saying, You should have run while you had the chance. For your fate is sealed. Now you face the God King's personal warrior, the champion of Olympus. With one single swing of the lion tamer, both Phobos and Deimos fell to the ground hard, barely alive. The man then turned back to Thanatos and said, I apologize for their intrusion, but a challenger of your caliber must not be kept waiting. Besides, I need no introduction. I am Hercules. Never heard of you, Thanatos said coldly. Hercules smirked at these words and said, Who would have thought the god of death could crack a joke? At that moment, after an eternity, both men felt something they had long forgotten, the anticipation of a worthy battle. 2 Martian soldiers had just reached the rooftop of a 5-storied building in the military district. On seeing the terrace, the first said, Well, this is as good a vantage point as any. Set the sniper rifle up, Rollo. Assuming that this building doesn't get demolished while we're still on it, Rollo said. It won't, his partner replied, annoyed with his constant complaining. Cindy, look around and tell me what you notice. There is a shocking decline in the number of buildings standing upright since we breached the city. How can I not worry? Rollo said. But Cindy didn't reply to Rollo's latest find, as she had just spotted something behind the water tank. She signaled Rollo to shut up and follow her lead. They approached cautiously with their guns ready to find. A girl, Cindy said, surprised. What's a girl doing here? The girl in question was unconscious and in really bad shape. Cindy checked her vital stats to find that she was still alive, though. She's kinda cute, Rollo said. You know, once you clean up all the blood and dirt. Is her arm supposed to bend like that? Would you focus for 1 second? Cindy snapped. Well, she's an Athenian soldier, but that's not the regular uniform. Maybe she's one of those jetpack flyers. That would explain why she's on the rooftop. Maybe she fell from the sky. Would explain her injuries, Rollo deduced. But Cindy recognized the 8th Legion's uniform, and this wasn't it. Then she remembered. By the gods, no, she's a mecha driver. What's she doing all the way up here, then? Rollo wondered. Don't know, don't care, Cindy said. Come on, there's no need for us to kill her. She won't live long anyway. But let's find another rooftop. So we're just going to leave her. What do you want us to do? She's the enemy, Cindy shot back. Rollo might have been extremely skilled with a rifle, but she always felt he was too soft to be a soldier. But she is a mecha driver. That could be useful. To whom? You know, Mars doesn't take prisoners if we can help IIT. I meant for our cause, Rollo said in a serious tone. Cindy thought about that for a moment. The 1st Legion were the best Minerva had to offer, plus they were all trained in mecha engineering in case of emergency repairs. She could be useful, assuming she survived. But what Rollo was saying was impossible. Hypothetically, let's say I agree with you. How the hell are we going to get her back to Mars? Cindy asked. Well, if we take off her clothes, Rollo began. Be very careful of the next words out of your mouth, because there's no way I'm letting you strip a helpless girl. Hear me out, woman, Rollo shouted. There is extra armor in our Jeep. Once you dress her in those, we could sneak her back into camp and have a medic we trust look at her. We can get her back into Mars in the back of a cargo truck. Cindy considered this for a while, a long while. It was plausible, and the chances of getting caught were slim, but if they did, their heads would be on a spike. I don't know, Rollo. Seems like an awful lot of trouble to go to for a stranger, she said. She knew his heart was in the right place, but the risk was too great. Trouble we may be rewarded for with gratitude if we save her. And you know as well as I do, we need all the help we can get, Rollo reminded her. Then with a grin, he added, Besides, she's not a complete stranger. Her name's right here on the uniform, says Elisha. Two blurs traveled through Athens, causing destruction as they went. To the naked eye, this was all they were. Blurs, one black and one roughly golden. Only when they clashed were they visible for a second, Hercules and Thanatos. Their fight had left the spot where they first encountered, and now the two stood in an empty, wide street, surrounded by identical buildings, each 4 stories high. They stopped their skirmish for the moment, but the fight was far from over. As expected from the leader of the Capos, your skills were not exaggerated. You shall be a glorious addition to my legend, said Hercules. Thanatos did not reply, but he knew that there was reason behind his arrogance. He had never faced someone like him. His strength, speed, precision, and instinct were all flawless. He couldn't even spot a weakness. Furthermore, the death god was at a clear disadvantage. He was an assassin. He fought from the shadows, often killing his targets before they were even aware of his presence. An open battle such as this was not ideal for him, while Hercules was someone who thrived on it. But none of this mattered. No one escaped death. Thanatos teleported. He reappeared at point-blank range behind Hercules and struck, but missed. The champion had dodged on instinct, but Thanatos kept up the offensive to prevent a counterattack. You seem so keen on striking me, so I will let you, as a sign of respect, claimed Hercules. The death god aimed suicide straight for the heart, but this time Hercules did not dodge. He did not block it with his club, and the scythe struck his lion-faced chestplate, but the blade did not pierce through. Thanatos pulled back immediately to a distance. As I suspected, said Hercules, my armor is made from the fur of the Nemean lion. Even when I crushed its skull and broke its neck, its fur remained unscathed. Thanatos calculated on this information. The suicide could not pierce the armor, which meant the only exposed vital points he could strike were the neck and face, but Hercules guarded them too well. So, perhaps you should take this fight more seriously, Hercules suggested. His eyes were unforgiving. Thanatos lowered suicide. He understood what he meant. It seemed he had insulted the Olympian by holding back. Your scythe blade is a demonic weapon, is it not? Forged from dark magic and linked directly to your body and soul. But they say a demonic weapon has a soul of its own as well. And I can feel it from your scythe. Its killing intent, Hercules said. So why do you hold it back? Thanatos still did not speak. But he knew what Hercules said was true. His scythe blade had been screaming to be released ever since the battle started. But he disliked it, his death scythe's final form. It did not suit a silent executioner such as himself. But now his opponent did not leave him any choice in the matter. Thanatos stretched out his blade arm to the side and whispered, genocide. The air grew thinner at his words, and a sickening chill spread across the street. Though the sun had only begun to set, it grew darker, much darker. The scythe blade began to transform again, this time growing larger than a guillotine. It now stretched longer than the hand it was fixed to. Its handle had merged with its wielder's flesh, making the blade a part of the death god's body. Dark energy danced around him now like black lightning. The blade opened its eye, its sick ice-blue eye with only a black slit for a pupil. The eye looked around frantically until it fixed its sight on Hercules. Thanatos found the whole thing too flashy for his taste, but the genocide had its merits. The death god disappeared again, and a smile appeared on Hercules' face. This he would enjoy. He appeared inches from Hercules, too close for anyone to dodge, anyone but Hercules. He managed to scrape away from the strike, but for the first time since he entered the war, Hercules was on the defensive. He felt the pressure with each strike. Thanatos had gotten faster, and he no longer felt safe enough to test his armor against the new blade. The death god teleported with such agility that he found it hard to defend himself in time. But he still held on. The air grew even colder as the battle progressed, and frost now covered the surroundings. Yet Hercules hadn't even managed to strike. A swipe from the genocide had made him drop his club, and he had to double back for the blade to miss his neck. The fight had grown very interesting for the Olympian. Without the lion tamer, he could no longer block the attacks. All he could do was dodge. He had clenched his fists in hopes to land a strike, but Thanatos was too quick, and he teleported too often to get a lock on him. Then it happened. The death god teleported right above him for a strike from above, and Hercules dodged, but before the strike had reached anywhere near him, Thanatos teleported again. This time crouching right in front of him, he thrust genocide straight for the heart. This time Hercules could not dodge the attack. The scythe blade pierced the golden armor, and it pierced the flesh, but it had missed the heart. Hercules had moved just enough for this to happen, but the blade had still found his shoulder, and he felt something that was almost alien to him, pain. Hercules leapt back as far as he could, clutching his wounded shoulder. When he removed his hand again, it was covered in blood. His blood. Beautiful, said Hercules, examining his hand. How long has it been since I have glimpsed my own blood? I cannot even remember. You truly are a worthy challenger, worthy enough to witness the true power of Hercules. Hercules closed his eyes, and nothing appeared to have changed. But Thanatos felt it, the change in his adversary. His energy felt heavier, and his presence was nearly overwhelming. The air began to quiver around him, and the ground trembled. Thanatos could not tell what was happening, but he did plan to find out. The death god charged at him with genocide aimed for his throat. But just when genocide was inches away from flesh, Hercules opened his eyes again. and his bright golden pupils were missing. His eyes were pure white now, just like his father's. "Herculean strength," he said, and before the genocide could close the tiny gap to the neck, his fist slammed into the death god's torso, sending him hurtling through the air. Thanatos only came to a stop when he smashed into a building, but the impact was enough for the entire structure to collapse on top of him. But he wasn't done yet. He teleported out just in time, but when he appeared again on their battlefield, he did not spot Hercules, and then he felt his presence right behind him. He turned and tried to slash the Olympian, but he was too slow. Hercules had his large fist around the death god's throat, crushing it. Then with his free hand he made a fist. Thanatos tried to teleport to safety, but for some reason he couldn't. "Do you like it, death god? My Herculean strength?" Hercules jeered. "It is truly a rare sight to behold and impossible to survive. I am afraid my grip is enough to disrupt the flow of energy within you. So, teleportation is out of the question." Saying that, Hercules brought his clenched fist down upon the skull-shaped helm, again and again and again, until even the indestructible helm began to crack. But Hercules halted his assault and said, "Your weapon was quite impressive, this death scythe of yours." He then grabbed Genocide and began to pull. The scythe had already become part of the wielder's body, but that wasn't enough to stop Hercules. He ripped the blade right off with the flesh and tossed it aside. The weapon reverted back to its smaller homicide form without its master's power feeding it. The death god's right arm was bleeding profusely, and the wound was deep enough to see bone. He still did not scream, but he did not have the strength to move either. Hercules tossed him to the ground and went to retrieve the lion tamer. "A fitting battle, Thanatos, and not one I am likely to forget," Hercules said as he picked up his club. "But now it is time for you to be immortalized in the legends of Hercules." But Thanatos couldn't respond. He had already lost his consciousness. As Hercules raised his club for the final blow, he said, "And what a legend it shall be, Hercules, the man who killed death." "Insomnia," someone roared. A blade pierced Hercules on the shoulder. He didn't know what shocked him more, that he had just been attacked, or that his attacker wore a t-shirt with a cartoon on it. The newcomer jumped back immediately, but he still stood between Hercules and Thanatos. He still had his sleek symmetrical blade raised, protecting the fallen death god. "You struck me where the death god had already wounded me, knowing full well that your sword could not cut me otherwise. How shrewd," Hercules said. "I do get creative when someone tries to kill my brother," Hypnos said. "Oh, the brother of death and a blade named Insomnia. You must be the capo known as Sleepwalker." "Hypnos, god of sleep," Hercules said. Hypnos did not expect Hercules to know so much about him. Most people did not even know the code names of the 5 of capos. But he wasn't surprised. The man was the champion of Zeus. There was not much the god king did not know. "Would you kindly stand aside and let me kill the Reaper?" "Unlike your brother, I doubt you could offer me a suitable challenge," Hercules said. Hypnos had no doubt he was right. Thanatos had always been the stronger fighter, and though Insomnia was an excellent blade, it was not a demonic weapon like his brother's. However, it did have the unique ability to put weaker foes to sleep with one cut, a trick that did not even faze Hercules. But he wasn't about to stand aside and watch quietly as his brother gets killed, so he retorted, "Won't know till I try." Maximus, Hedger, and Mia were crouched behind a wall watching Hercules and Hypnos. They were hidden within the ruins of a building, while Rex was still asleep in their truck nearby. They had still been hiding in the empty garage when out of nowhere Hypnos said, "Something's wrong. My brother just summoned Genocide," and ordered them to start the Badger again. And now here they were, watching the champion of Zeus about to fight against a capo regime of Hades. "We have to get out of here. Now," Hedger said, shaking in fear. "That's Hercules, and he just defeated a god, the god of death no less." "We are in way over our heads here," Mia added. The two of them were trying to convince Max to return to the truck and leave Athens as fast as possible. But Max wouldn't agree. Whatever the reason, the two capos had saved their lives, and it felt wrong to abandon them. But now in watching Hercules, another thought passed through his head, a darker thought. "Guys, if Hercules is here fighting, then where is Achilles?" he wondered. Neither of his friends answered. They all knew that Achilles, along with Odysseus and Theseus, had gone to confront the man who broke the Aegis, which was clearly Hercules. But if Hercules was still here, then what had happened to them? Maybe they never found him, Mia said, but even she didn't believe that. Warriors at their level would have no trouble tracking someone down, especially someone like Hercules, who wasn't even trying to hide his energy. The only logical solution was the worst-case scenario running through Max's head. "He killed them," Max whispered. "You don't know that," Mia countered. "They might have escaped." "Do you really think Achilles would run from a fight?" Maximus said, standing up. He was feeling strange again, like an emptiness, like how he felt back in the arena. "What are you doing? He'll see you," Mia said, pulling at his arm, but Max shrugged her off. "You guys take the Badger and get as far away from here as possible," he said as he drew his blade, and it was hot and burned bright crimson. "Max, what are you doing?" Hedger said, alarmed. "That is Hercules out there. Facing him is simply impossible." "I know," Max said as he stepped out of the ruined building. "But I'm tired of running." This has been a chapter from Book 2 of the new World Odyssey Series, The Legions of Athena. Links to the books in the bio. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this chapter, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. See you in the next chapter.